Hi everyone, it's M.S.G. I hope you're all doing well. Today I am going to create a quick video, so I'll try not to take up too much of your time. It's going to be a quick Emperor's Children tier list. So I'm going to be doing this on Coterie of the Conceited, which is obviously the most recent and easily the strongest competitive detachment that Emperor's Children have access to. I would also recommend looking into it that you do a bit of research on the actual units themselves in this detachment, because sometimes they will be very, very strong or very underwhelming in this detachment, whereas in others they might shine. Again, the Coterie of the Conceited is easily by far the most competitive detachment we've got access to, and it's also one of the most fun. So, for those unaware, Coterie of the Conceited is the pack points to Slenesh. So, for example, you get one pack point gives you reroll ones to hit. 3 gives you reroll ones to wound. This applies to every unit in your army in both range and melee. In addition to that, if you get 5, you get sustained hits and lethal on top of each other in melee. And if you get 7 or higher, you get critical hits on 5s, which is exceptionally good. As you can see here, this is only if you kill and predict it correctly. So your warlord has to be on the battlefield. You have to say a number at the start of the battle round. So, for example, 2. If I kill 3, I don't get the pack point benefit unless I use a stratagem called Unbound Arrogance, which gives me an extra pack point. In addition to that, if you don't meet the criteria, you don't kill 2 units. Let's say I kill 0 or 1. I automatically take D3 mortal wounds on the warlord, which, depending on your warlord, can be big, and it's not great in any situation really taking mortal wounds. But with that said, though, they are cumulative, so if your warlord does die, recently they've changed it so you can still get Unbound Arrogance and still call it. So, for example, if your warlord gets killed turn 2, and you say, I'm going to kill 1 unit this round in battle round 3, and you do, use that stratagem for a command point, you'll get an extra pack point, which is really good. So with that said, though, I will continue with the actual tier list itself. Like I said, it's going to be ranked in Coterie because it's just easily the best one. The first up is the Helldrake. So the Helldrake got nerfed recently. And just to preface the video, by the way, I have an incredibly bad chest infection. I'm not sure if you can tell with the rasp in my voice, but I did say I would get this video out, so I do apologise for those who find it irritating. I am going to try and talk a bit lower, as you can tell, with my cadence, so I don't want to push myself a bit too much and cause myself to go into a coughing fit. So if you hear random pauses throughout the video, assume I'm having a drink or assume I'm coughing off the microphone. But with that said, let's just continue with the video. So the Helldrake, again, not great. It's just still just your standard Helldrake. So Chaos Space Marine players are intimately acquainted with how bad this thing is in competitive play. It's way too expensive. 195 points for a model that's T10, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 14 wounds. Just way too expensive. Except this one can fly over on a normal move, and if you fly over a unit, you can roll a 4 up, and it takes D3 mortals. Ooh. And you get to add +1 if that unit can fly. Ooh. Wow. It's got some pretty nasty anti-fly, though. Anti-fly +2 and dev wounds, which is great, which means that the dev wounds will be going off on a 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 6, because of the way anti works. Anti is a crit, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Helldrake, far too expensive. Got nerfed from a 2 up to a 3 up to bring it in line. F tier. I really want the Helldrake to be good, but I think in this army, if it's good, it's way too strong because the rule that we have is incredibly strong with Thrill Seekers. But yeah, Helldrake, poo-poo, unfortunately. So a bad start, but we'll go on to the next one. So the next one is the Demon Prince of Slenesh. This is the one that's on foot, not the winged one. So he's 10-inch move, toughness 10, 2 up armor, 4 up invul, 10 wounds. Fairly bog standard Demon Prince profile with 24-inch 3 shots, 5-1-2, hitting on 2s. So Coterie means that if you kill 1 unit, you are basically re-rolling all them misses because you're hitting on 2s. His Hellforged weapons are pretty decent. 6 attacks at strength 8, -2, 3 damage flat, which is great into a certain elite infantry. So this guy is, in my opinion, a bit too overcosted at the minute, and I'll explain this once I've done his other counterpart later on. But in fact, we'll do them both at the same time. So I'll do the winged one after this one, actually. So the Demon Prince on foot is good. I don't think he's bad at all. So when he's within 3 inches of a friendly Slenesh infantry unit, he gets lone operative. So you notice how it says Slenesh. So if you run him in the Carnival of Excess, where you can bring demons, you can give him lone op if you slap some demonettes next to him, which is pretty nice. You can also run this guy next to Lucius, as a lot of people have mentioned. You can run him with a lone operative that's next to a lone operative, and makes him just unshootable because Lucius is there and he can't get shot. Excessive Vigor is also a very nice stratagem. So while the friendly Slenesh unit is within 6 inches of the model, if that unit made a charge move this turn, improve the AP characteristic of melee weapons in the models of the unit by 1. So that means your Infractors are going to AP -2. So AP -1's just okay. It's not great, but it's not bad either. AP2, you are starting to force characters up to their invul saves a majority of the time. So if it's 2 up armor, 4 up invul, you've now got 4 up invuls to deal with instead of a 3 up, which is big. AP -3 on his sword, because obviously he benefits from his own aura, which is really good. Lord Exultant is going to AP -4 if you go Super Saiyan with him at the same time. So that's 8 attack, strength 7, +1 to wound, -4 AP, flat 3 damage. 2 damage, sorry. Yeah, just a really, really nice buff. Again, it also incentivizes, says Slenesh unit, so it incentivizes you to castle with this guy, because obviously if you want to get the benefit, you want to like springboard from him, and obviously because he's quite quick, you can do that. And he also has ecstatic death, which is basically just fight on death on a 2-up. Pretty nice, because it forces your opponent to be like, do I really want to charge this guy? Do I want to avoid him? Fairly straightforward. He's also a good chassis for enhancements. So obviously the Coterie of the Conceited enhancements aren't the greatest. They're not bad, but they're not great. So this one's probably the worst one. The Pledge of Mortal Pain. Emperor's Children model. At the start of your shooting phase, select a model within 12 inches of invisible to the bearer. Unit must take a leadership test, subtracting 2 from the result if it's battle shocked. If failed, the enemy unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. The good ones, what you want, are Pledge of Eternal Servitude, which means if he dies, you can bring him back if he passes a leadership test, which is insanely good. And you get D6 wounds remaining, which is also really nice, especially on a durable unit like him. Pledge of Dark Glory, just not going to use that because it's +1 leadership, +1 OC, and who gives a shit. Finally, another great enhancement, which is probably good on him as well if you've got the points spare. You probably want to run this on a different unit though, which I'm going to mention in future. You get to turn a hit, wound, or a saving throw for a model in the bearer's unit to a 6, and it counts as a unmodified 6 if you're not battle shocked. So it's nice if you've got sustained hits or anything like that. Obviously, you don't get it with this guy, but having an extra hit's really strong. But with a Coterie buff, you're probably going to be hitting all your hits anyway. And obviously, if you get to the 5 kill mark, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. But with that said, where would I put him? He's too expensive at the moment, and I think the points cost for the Wing Prince and this guy should be switched around. But at the minute, he's B tier. Now, just going to spoil it. This guy's at the top of S tier. The Winged Demon Prince is, quite frankly, absurdly strong, and will be getting nerfed fairly soon, in my opinion. Obviously, Games Workshop need to be careful because we are a very, very small army and we've not got that many data sheets. Even the demon data sheets don't count. As you can see, I've not included demons in this detachment because, one, you can't bring them, and 2, I don't like the demons data sheets, and I don't really play Slenesh demons. I'm more of a Khorne demon guy. With that said, though, Demon Prince of Slenesh with wings is pretty much the same profile, melee and shooting. He has the same wounds, but he's T9, so he's a point less tougher, and he is also 4 inches faster. He's 14-inch movement, so you've got 14-inch move, advanced charge, advanced shoot, charge, and when you charge, you can throw as many dice as wounds that he has. So you'll usually be throwing 10 or 9, and then you will throw them, and any 4 up to a maximum of 6 is a mortal wound, and that's before you fight, which is incredibly good. So you are punching up very, very heavily. You can stack these. A majority of the time you do 5 or 6 mortal wounds, and that's not even a joke. Like, it is, you're basically guaranteed to do 6 mortal wounds to something, or 5 mortal wounds to something at the very minimum, every single time you charge, unless you get very unlucky with the dice rolls. He's also got -1 damage, so good luck trying to kill him. Your opponent has to focus this guy down, so 3 damage weaponry is now 2 damage. 2 damage weaponry is now 1, which is not even going to bother shooting him at that point. So plasma guns into this guy just bounce off him. So anyone who's running Hell Blasters sucks to suck, I guess. With that said, though, he's not entirely durable, but he's only 180 points. You are bringing him with the Pledge of Eternal Servitude, so it will bring him up to 205. Brings him back on D6 wounds. Just incredibly strong. Obviously, he's got Deep Strike if you want to do that with him. You can Rapid Ingress him in turn 2. Just get him on the board, run into something, charge, and boom. You probably don't want to make this guy your Warlord for obvious reasons, unless you want to do a thing where you put him as your Warlord, you just throw 3 Princes forward, get a shitload of kills, he dies, but your army's already got like 5 to 7 kills anyway, so your entire army's got stupidly high buffs, and then he comes back, which is great. So obviously, if your Warlord comes back from from death, you can still get your pledges off, which is really good. So that's one way to cheat death. But yeah, he is insanely strong. At the minute, the only reason why the winged demon prince, the wingless demon prince, I can't get my words out. The demon prince on foot is below the winged demon prince because he's one more expensive and he doesn't offer that much in comparison to this. So this thing is pretty much guaranteed to kill something, whereas your your regular demon prince on foot, while he is quick, he's not got the same punching power, and he's again more expensive. Which, I mean, it can be nice. He's not bad, but it's a case of why would I take a regular demon prince when I can take the winged one for cheaper and slap an enhancement on it for make him a bit more expensive than his counterpart, but it doesn't really matter. Next up, though, we have the man himself, or the thing himself, Fulgrim. Just going to keep this short and sweet. I think Fulgrim is incredibly mid. I put him in like E tier. Yeah, he's good in combat, but he's not great. Yes, his shooting's okay, but it's not great. His rules are incredibly swingy. So fights first at the start of the opponent's command phase is great because you can reactive fight first. Beguiling form means he's -1 to hit from range and in melee, which is nice. And his enthralling in hypnosis means any unit within 6 inches of him has to take a fall. If it takes a fallback or does a fallback, it must take a leadership test. If it's failed, it remains stationary. So this can tar pit quite a lot of people if you're near him. But again, Fulgrim is huge. He is incredibly difficult to hide. He has the same base size as a Great Unclean one. He is absolutely massive. His poisons are okay. As you can tell, I did a video review on Fulgrim, and I regret most of the times that I rated him. I think it was like a 7 or a 6.5. He's like pretty bad. Like, yeah, he's okay in melee. He's got sweep attack with sustained hits and strike with sustained hits. Literally everything he's got a sustained hits bar his tail. So strength 14 -3, d6 +1 is nice. With 2s, re-rolling your 1s, and then you're getting a lot of extra hits. But again, he is your warlord if you're bringing him. So your opponent's just going to focus him down and have more of a reason to focus him down anyway. T11 16-inch move to up armor for a pinball, 16 wounds isn't that difficult to chew through. But he is fast. His poisons aren't as good either because apparently if he dies, the poisons just stop for some reason, and you only get 1. So I read the rules wrong. I thought it was just Fulgrim would run in, tag everything with poison, and then just die, but apparently not. Fulgrim is nearly 400 points. He's 385 points as well, and he can't be brought with any enhancements because obviously he's an epic hero, so he doesn't get that. Any brackets at 6 wounds, which is not great. I would put him in the E tier though. I think he needs a severe rework. He's not good at all. I won't bring him even in casual games unless you're adamant. Next up we have, I can't see shit. Are they Infractors or Tormentors? Tormentors. So next up are Tormentors. which are one of our 2 battle line units. So the 7-inch move, standard Space Marine profile. Other than that, T4, 2 wounds. You can bring a plasma gun and a melter gun with them. I do think that you're probably going to bring the Rapture Lash on the Obsessionist if you want to, because more attacks. Although you would be well within your right to bring a Power Sword if you wanted to. These guys can infiltrate, which is really, really good. They also have objectives secured, which is great. So obviously it says here, end of command phase, if you tag the marker with the unit, they get that objective until your opponent controls it again. They also have an icon of excess, which means shooting or fight phase at the end of it. If you kill a unit, excuse me, kill a unit, you basically get the kill. I can't get my words out today. If you kill a unit, you can take a leadership test. If you take the leadership test and you pass it, you get a command point, which is incredibly good. So that also applies to characters as well. So if you shoot a character out of a unit, because every one of these guns has precision, so precision melter, precision bolt guns, precision plasma guns, insanely funny to use and just pick off a character. With that said, though, they are 85 points for 5 and 170 for 10. They can also be led by a Lord Exultant and a Sorcerer, and they have Infiltrate, which is really, really good because we can get some early points. Emperor's Children are a really good scoring army because these guys exist. You've just got these guys being a pest, allowing you to set up for your frontlining units, allowing these frontliners to set up for the rest of your army to charge in turn 2. Overall, just a really strong unit. I get why. I think the Infractors are better, but I still think these are really, really good. So I'm going to put Tormentors. They're a competitive staple. I think S tier because you're bringing them. You're bringing at least a squad. And that may be due to the fact that we have such little data sheets to choose from. In all honesty, speaking of Infractors. Infractors are basically just the exact same profiles, except they don't have the guns. They have the sabers and power swords and rapture lashes. They all have precision in melee though. So you've got precision shooting infantry and precision melee infantry. Infractors have got the legionary role. So for those familiar with Chaos Space Marines, that means you are rolling ones to wound, re-rolling ones to wound, which kind of gets nullified if you get 3 kills anyway, because you're doing that automatically. If they're on an objective marker, though, you get full reroll to your wound rolls, which also applies to the guys leading them. So Lord Exultant gets it, a Sorcerer gets it too. At the end of the shooting phase or the fight phase, if you kill the leader or if you kill a unit, you get a command point. So if you wipe out some crappy chaff unit with these guys, which you're probably going to do, you're going to have a very good time. In addition, that also means that your melee goes straight through to the character, and any attacks that go through that excess damage will go onto the unit. So a majority of the time you want to just charge these guys in, shred the character, and then the Lord Exultant will usually take out the chaff. So, for example, Space Marine captains hate these because the Space Marine captain doesn't have an invul, and he's going to be dealing with 20 attacks at strength 4, -1/1 damage. So on average, he's getting wounded about 10 times, maybe a bit more, depending on the rerolls. But yeah, these guys are incredibly good. They also have Scout 6 inches, which is really, really fun. They're only 85 points, and 10 models cost 160, so they're 10 points cheaper than their ranged counterparts. Again, these guys are, in my opinion, better than Tormentors, simply because they're a very good light skirmishing unit, so they can punch up decently well. Precision means if you throw them at a unit that you see a character in and you go, we need to get rid of that character, these guys are your guys for that. They're probably a lot more reliable than the Tormentors are. Tormentors are more of a utility piece, whereas your Infractors are your backbone. So majority of the time you're leading them with a Lord Exultant, like 9.999 times out of 10, you're leading Infractors with Lord Exultant. I've never ever seen someone with Tormentors with a leader, because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. Tormentors are put them there, score a unit, score an objective, kill what you can. If you die, that's fine. And they also act as good screening units too because of the infiltrate, so you can stop people from forward deploying. yeah, Infractors are insanely strong. Both of our battle line units are incredibly good, but I do think Infractors are better. Next up, unfortunately. So for those who are long-time fans of the channel, when I'm uploading every 4 months, they will know how much I love Terminators. So someone who played Chaos Space Marines for a while, as Emperor's Children, Terminators are a go-to for me. I miss having a unit of 10, because now you can only run 5 of them, and they cost 170 points. A unit of 10 with Power Fist with exploding 5s in melee on sustained hits, sustained hits 1 on a 5 up in melee were incredibly fun. But, you know, good times end eventually. But, yeah, Terminators are literally just the exact same as the regular Chaos Space Marine counterparts, except they're an inch faster. The rule counteracts what they're actually supposed to be doing. Obviously, a unit of 10 of these would probably be quite scary, but the issue is they can only be led by a Lodka Coffinist, which I think is just a waste of the guy. You'd need Noise Marines with the Lodka Coffinist, which I will get onto shortly. Their ability is strange, so they have to shoot the target. Everyone in the unit has to shoot the same target, and if you do, declare a charge against that unit, you get to reroll a charge roll, which I think is incredibly bad because your opponent's just going to, let's say hypothetically, you deep strike in, you shoot a unit that you wanted to charge, so you're 9 inches away, roughly. You kill a couple of things, because Reaper autocannon, bolt guns, just, let's say you kill something. Your opponent just takes off those things closest to your Terminators, and now you've turned a 9-inch charge into a 10, 11, 12-inch charge, or if you're stupid, or you get very lucky, your opponent just immediately removes them out of range anyway, or reactive moves. But it's okay though. You get to re-roll the charge roll. So good luck rolling 2 6s twice. Yeah, these guys are absolutely awful. And out of disrespect, like they're more applicable than a Helldrake, but I think, in fact, no, actually. Like, yeah, the melee is pretty nice, and they can advance and charge, so you'll deep strike them behind a wall or something and then run them out and punch, but Terminators are horrible, simply due to the fact that they can only be brought as a 5. Other than that, they're pretty mid. Way too expensive. 170 points is a unit of 10 Infractors. If you've got a choice between taking 5 Terminators and 10 Infractors, the Infractors should be brought every single time. Or just bring 2 units of Tormentors, or 2 units of 5 Infractors, or 5 Tormentors. Or better yet, 170 points, you can shave off 20 points and bring your set of Demon Prince. It's fairly straightforward. These guys are way too expensive. Next up are the Flawless Blades. So Flawless Blades, the Cone Heads. These guys are weird. So it's nice that they've got grenades because they don't have a shooting profile other than a bolt pistol, which is just hilarious. But yeah, Flawless Blades are incredibly swingy. So they're 110 points for 3 and 220 points for 6. They are incredible on the data sheet, and then if you look past the data sheet, they fall very short. So I'll just run through this stat line. So there's 8-inch moves, so they're very quick. Toughness 5, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 3 wounds. They're basically just 8 bound, but worse, essentially, on the stat line. But they have a very weird profile. So 3 attacks each, hitting on 2s, so you'll be rerolling the 1s. Strength 6, -3, 2 damage flat. Really, really, really good into Space Marines, but again, the problem is they've got an incredibly low amount of attacks, which means that 9 attacks for a unit of 3. So congratulations, you've probably killed 8 to 7 intercessors with these guys. They're incredibly bad into 3 wound infantry, because obviously it's 2 damage, so they need double the damage to go through. The rule's really, really fun. So if you call upon your patron, you basically wound anything in the game on a 3-up, which is really, really good. So knights get wounded on a 3-up. They're also pretty fun to run as a unit of 6 and just charge into something. You're probably going to kill it. These guys need a sweet profile, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 attacks on 2, strength 4, 1, 1 would be nice, or 2, 1. They'd be like the premier chaff killers. As far as this goes, though, they're incredibly weird. They can't be taken in a transport because obviously they're a big model, so they can't be taken in it unless it's a Land Raider. With that said, though, you can run them with Lucius if you want, like I said, but Lucius is actively worse if you do that. So yeah, it's nice to have Lucius with these guys because they are like fuck you levels of damage. They will walk into a knight and kill it almost immediately. So for 6 of them, my math is terrible. So I assume 18 attacks, wounded on 3s, AP -3, which is great. You also then get the lethals and sustains if you're killing stuff at that point. So these guys will basically just delete anything that you touch, especially if you kill. It's only if you kill a model as well. So if you kill like a random infantry unit and use this ability, good, because you don't lose a guy. Flawless blades at the minute though, I think they could do with a bit of tweaking. Maybe it's the rule that actively punishes them. It's a very weird rule. So like, yeah, wounding anything on the game on a 3-up is really, really strong, and we don't have access to that much anti-tank. But as a result, Games Workshop are going to be incredibly cagey because that rule is incredibly hard to balance around. Do I think they're in a good spot? No, but do I think from a game health perspective, do I think the rule is fine? Yes, I do. Because if they get even 4 attacks, that's 12 attacks for a unit of 3, 24 if it's a unit of 6. Imagine this has gone from 18 to 24 for a unit of 6. That's a lot of 2 damage attacks going through. That's 12 extra damage. So this is what I mean. Like you massively buff these guys and they will stomp anything. But if you underwhelm them, they're a bit more balanced and a bit more fun to go against. But into elite infantry, they're not great. As well, 3 wound infantry, they're not great. Again, your foot slogging them. They're a big base. I think D tier. I think I'd rather run Flawless Blades over Fulgrim. And I think they're at the bottom of D tier for those unaware. Fulgrim's just really bad at the minute. He needs a rework, and so do these guys. Next up is the Chaos Spawn. So the Chaos Spawn are 10-inch move, toughness 5, 4 up armor, no invulnerable save, 4 wounds, 7 up leadership, 1 OC. So these guys have got OC now, which is really good. They have a 5 up feel no pain. Their attacks are just as standard, like Chaos Spawn. So D6 plus 2, hitting on 4, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. 2 models for 80 points. Originally, it used to be 2 models for 70, if I'm not mistaken, or 75, which was really good. These guys got nerfed in the patch, if I'm not mistaken. The 5 up feel no pain is incredibly good as well, because obviously T5 4 wounds is pretty nasty for certain infantry to chew through. So it causes them to be a lot more durable than you think. They can obviously advance and charge because of Thrill Seekers, but they also have the ability where once per turn, if an enemy unit ends a normal advance or a fallback move within 9 inches of this unit, the unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. I assume that means it doesn't specifically say you can't end in engagement range, so rules as written, technically that means you can go into engagement range, but it says it can make a normal move, so I assume it's more meant to be intended as a defensive profile. Where you're just using it to get away or to prevent a deep strike. So, for example, if someone deep strikes next to your objective, you can, like, for example, Death Shroud, which is 6 inches away now, you can just immediately run away 6 inches and make a 6-inch charge, a 12-inch charge, if you screen appropriately. Yeah, they're a pain in the arse to deal with. And you can then just kite Death Shroud with these guys, or any kind of big, slow, heavy-hitting unit that requires like charges to springboard. Other than that, though, I actually really like these guys. I think they're a very, very nice glow up from the previous stuff. Where would I put them? Probably B. I think they're not offensively bad, but if you brought a unit of 1, a unit of 2 rather, in the list, no one's gonna like look at it and be like, "What the fuck?" Like, I wouldn't stand it. Next up, Lord Exultant. Just your standard Emperor's Children Chaos Lord, basically. So 7-inch move, toughness 4, 5 wounds, 3 up armor, 4 up invul. You've got quite a lot of weapon options, as you can see on the screen. You've got the power sword with precision, Phoenix Power Spear and a Power Fist, as well as a Rapture Lash for extra attacks. You bring in the Power Spear because it's got lands. So that's 5 attacks on 2, strength 7 -2, 2 damage. Obviously, lands +1 to wound. You can bring him with a Plasma Pistol or a Screaming Pistol. I would bring him with a Screaming Pistol because it ignores cover and it's 2 damage flat, so you're probably going to kill like maybe 1 or 2 Space Marines with that. He also gives the unit he's got lethal hits. This also applies to range, so if he gives it to a unit of Tormentors, which again you're using Tormentors with a lot of Exultant, it's a bit weird. Yeah, he gets that. He also gets the Super Saiyan move, Euphoric Strikes, which means he gets an extra 3 attacks and improves his AP by 1. So it's 8 attacks at strength 7 -3, 2 damage flat. This can stack with other detachment rule things. So, for example, you can get up to AP -5 Imperialist Bladesman. For obviously, we're not Imperialist Bladesman. For those wondering, by the way, pop Super Saiyan ability, stand next to a Demon Prince on foot, and then pop the is it Cruel Bladesman, where it's like an extra AP, so you go to AP -5. So good luck getting a save on that. With that said, though, this guy is 80 points. He's very well priced. He's also really good with chassis. In this detachment, I would probably not run an enhancement on him, but again, if you want to do that, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's there if you need it, but this guy runs on his own really well. He also gives the ability Lord of the Host, which means if he's attached to a battle line unit, he gets the benefit of Infiltrators and Scout, which means you can infiltrate this guy, and you can use Scout 6-inch on this guy if you're running him with Infractors, which is what you should be doing. If those who are not already aware, this guy has been put in competitive lists 3x3. He's going just under the Demon Prince. You could honestly switch these two up, but I think the Demon Prince's damage at the minute is way too high. So he's just going to pop second place. Yeah, he's one of the best leaders he's one of the best in the book. And it shows, let's put it that way. Like, if you run this guy in a game, he absolutely shreds anything you run him into. And the lethal hits is great with a unit of 10 Infractors, so if you're punching up, for example, you do get quite a lot of lethals going through due to the sheer amount of attacks you've got going through. And they get +1. They don't get +1 to him, sorry, because it's not lands, but he does, which is great. Next up is another really, really fun model, Lord Coffinist. So the Lord Coffinist, you're bringing in with 2 pistols. You're not bringing in with a power sword. So it's 6 shots, strength 5 -1, 2 damage. It's just a sonic blaster with 12-inch range, and it ignores cover 2. So this guy's 6-inch move, toughness 5, 2 up armor, 4 up invul, 6 wounds. Really, really good. I'll be honest, I think for 60 points as well, that's an incredibly efficient start line. When he is in leading a unit, the ranged weapons equipped by the unit have sustained hits 1, which is really, really strong, especially on Noise Marines, which we'll get to after we've sifted. We'll get through Noise Marines at the end. But you can give him the enhancement that flips any roll to a 6. So Blast Masters are now minimum 2 shots a hitting, unless you whiff. Well, no, even if you do whiff, you can hit them. So you've got 3 shots. Most of them are going to hit. Rerolling 1s, any 6s are sustained hits. So you get 2 shots for free, basically guaranteed. Yeah, he's also got a weird mortal wound thing against infantry. So after his model a shot, select one enemy infantry unit hit by 1 or more of these attacks and roll 3d6. On a 4-up, unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and if it suffers a mortal wound, it has to take a battle shock test, which also stacks with the Noise Marine rule of -1 to battle shock and leadership. You can lead Chaos Terminators, but you're not doing that. You bring them with Noise Marines. I really, really like him. I'm going to put him in A tier. He's also a really cool model. But yeah, he is really, really fun to play as well. Next up, we have the Land Raider, a personal Chaos Space Marine favourite of mine, but unfortunately in this one, it's pretty bad. Not offensively bad, but it's okay. So it's got the only source of long-range shooting. That's good at anti-tank. So strength 12 -3, d6 +1, 4 shots each, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. T12, so it's nice. 2 up armor, no invul, 16 wounds. Any model that disembarks from this after it's made a normal move gets to disembark and declare a charge, which is fun. But it's 240 points. You can also lead 14 Emperor's Children infantry models, but each Terminator and Flawless Blade model take up 2 spaces. So you can bring a unit of 6 with like Lucius, or just bring the unit of 6 and slap a random character in it if you want. I don't care. Land Raiders are just weird. I think they're not offensively bad, but they're just too expensive. I'd rather take the Flawless Blades over a Land Raider. But yeah, Land Raider's like D tier. I think it's very weird. Lucius, the Eternal. A lot of people love this guy. But there's a very good argument made by a YouTuber. I forgot his name. He did a tier list on Emperor's Children ranking him, and he mentioned Lucius is that guy where he looks scary on his data sheet, and then you play him and he's like underwhelming. Which I can kind of get the argument for, because his data sheet is scary. So 6 attacks at strength 8 -3, 3 damage flat is really good. Rerolling all hits and wounds if you're fighting a character, monster, or walker. And you also get fights first if you're not leading a unit, which is incredibly good. He also has a 5 up feel no pain. He's now 8-inch move, toughness 5, 5 up feel no pain, 2 up armor, 4 up pinball, 6 wounds. Yeah, he's also got Lash of Torment, but you're not using that majority of the time. You're going to be using the Blade of the Layer, which has precision, so good luck characters. Lucius will fuck you up. He's 140 points, so he's quite pricey, but I'll be honest, I brought him in games. Well, a game. I only had 1 game with him, and he absolutely stomped. Like, he touched something and it died, like, almost instantly. This dude is insanely good, and a lot of people don't bring him because they think Demon Princes are way too strong at the minute, which I can get. But I'll be honest, Lucius, other than another unit, is my favourite unit in the book. I really, really like Lucius because it's nice having a Primarch. That's good. Thousand Sons players. But fuck me, it's so irritating when your random named character dude is better than your Primarch, because you think, oh, the Primarch's going to be the scary guy, but no, it's the dude who's like hidden next to him who's way more lethal and more practical. So like Ahriman is really good. I know he is, but like Magnus is stupidly strong. Like that's what you want. You want like really like your main characters. You want to be good, and Lucius fits that bill. I would put him in S tier. I think, in my opinion, he's for straight up utilities at bottom of S tier. But I think the Tormentors and the Infractors edge him out simply due to the fact that the battle line. So these are like the core of your army. Lucius, yeah, while I don't start an army list without him, he is incredibly strong, but he's a kill unit. He's like a cruise missile. You just throw him at something. He's also really, really good because you can throw the mortal wounds if you do somehow manage to take mortal wounds on him from your warlord ability. And Coterie, if you fail, he can roll a fight feel no pain on him. Really good, pretty nice. Next up, we have the Rhino. Rhino is just really, really strong in this, like incredibly strong. It's like top 3. So I'm going to pop the Rhino there. Rhino is you could honestly switch up the Demon Prince. I think takes it, but I think if you wanted to switch Lord Exultant and a Rhino around in terms of placement, the top 3 though, like the top 3 units in this book are the Demon Prince with wings at the minute. The Demon Prince with wings, Lord Exultant, and the Chaos Rhino. Chaos Rhino is just your bog standard Rhino, 12-inch move, T9, 3 up armor, 10 wounds. It's pretty easy to kill. But it does have fire in deck too. So if you've got 2 unmanned squads of Noise Marines, because obviously this thing can transport 12, sorry, it can transport 2 squads. You get fire in deck, 2 out of it. So both Blastmasters in that squad can fire out of it. So that's 6 shots at strength 10 -2 flat 3 damage, which is really nasty. Again, it's got Thrill Seekers because it's funny. In addition to that, if a unit disembarks from the transport after it, units can disembark after this thing's advanced, but they do count as having made a normal move and they can't declare a charge. So you can advance these guys forward next to a unit that you want to charge or body block or whatever with Noise Marines. Noise Marines jump out, pepper the unit with Sonic Blasters and Blastmaster shots, and then you charge the Rhino into that unit if it's not dead, or you charge it into another unit that would otherwise be a pain in the arse, and you've now body blocked with the Rhino, and he's only 80 points, so this guy is insanely good. The Rhinos are you bring in a Rhino in a competitive list, even a casual list. Rhinos are just incredibly good. You want to get your guys to go where they need to go. They've got very short range shooting, noise marines, so it's nice to have these as a backup. Really good for moving your infractors around. This army's got a lot of speeds, but it's nice to have the ability to jump in the Rhino and then move 12 inches, advance and get out, and then just sit on an objective, and this thing can still charge technically. Just again, almost. Well, no, there's no almost. It is an auto include if you go in competitive lists. Next up, Mauler Fiend. So Mauler Fiends are another really good source of anti-tank. I think they're pretty mid though. So I'm just going to put them in low B. I think I'd probably no. I think at the minute, because the Demon Prince on foot's too expensive, the Mauler Fiends are affordable. It's like they're 130 points, so they're cheaper than Lucius. But they don't have as better durability because Lucius loan up is just mental. So these guys don't have that indulgence, unfortunately. So despite being more durable, they will get shot a lot more because your opponent sees them and goes, scary big thing that's running at me at 500 mile an hour. I'm going to punch it or shoot it. So it's 10-inch move, toughness 10, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 12 wounds. It's got the magma cutters at strength 9 minus 4 d6 damage, and there's 2 attacks with melted 2. You bring in the tendrils though, so that's an extra attacks of 6, hitting on 3, strength 7 minus 1 1. So it's pretty good into chaff. You can kill quite a lot of them. The melee from the fists though, oh boy, hit on 3s, so strength 14 minus 2 d6 plus 1. It's basically Fulgrim's profile without the sustained hits, and it's minus 2 instead of minus 3, which doesn't really matter because, well, it can matter in certain circumstances, but these guys are a lot cheaper. You can bring 3 of these instead of Fulgrim, which is great. They also have an ability where if they're below starting strength, they get +1 to hit, so they're hitting on 2s. And if they're below half strength, they get +1 to wound. That can be clutch if you spike your invul saves. You want to get to a point where you're below your 6 wounds is like your perfect bracket because you're below half HP, or 5 wounds is technically. You're below half HP, but if you go lower, you're bracketed, so you subtract 1 from the hit roll, but that gets countered by the +1 to hit from getting punched. So despite bracketing's not an issue here, you're always hitting on 2s and 3s, and having +1 to wound in an ideal situation for these guys, you're wounding things on 2s the majority of the time. Again, they are just a very distraction-oriented unit. They just throw them forward, and your opponent has to deal with them. It gives very big trays in it, the Battle Acadia vibes, where it just throws random bullshit at people. You need to emulate that by throwing Mauler Fiends at people. Not literally, but, who am I to judge? Mauler Fiends are B tier, though. I think they're a very good unit. They're just a solid unit. Speaking of not so solid units, though, Christ. Sorcerer. The most usable of the shittiest models, in my opinion. 7-inch movement, 18-inch range, strength 6 minus 2 d3 damage, dev wounds, so not too bad, but it's hazardous. Can lead Infractors, Noise Marines, and Terminators. Tormentors, and is 60 points. So you're probably thinking, Matt, why is he 60 points? He's 60 points is great. Bring a Lord Coffinist if you need an action monkey. This guy's trash. And he's not very durable. He doesn't even have an invul. And even then, his rules are gimmicky. So this is very matchup dependent. So if in your shooting phase, select 1 infantry unit that you've hit with the agonizing energies. So this guy in particular, and you subtract 1 from it's 2 from its movement and charge rolls, which is really, really good. But getting that to work is just very weird. In certain armies, that's not going to matter. But if you're doing it in Death Guard, for example, where you just get 18 inches around them, and you go, haha, you're now charging from, well, you can't charge them, they're outside of 18-inch range. Probably not recommended to do that against Death Guard because their shooting's really good. Other than that, though, this guy is just bad. He needs something. He also gives the unit a benefit of cover, which is just every one of the mum gets cover in this game. But, yeah, he's bad. He's really bad. Last but definitely not least, Noise Marines. So Noise Marines are my favourite unit in the book, and as well as Lucius, obviously. But Noise Marines are incredibly good at the minute. So a lot of people are like, oh, they're mid. They only offer like middling shooting. It's just a heavy bolter and blah blah blah. Ignore these people, right? Ignore them. I'm not interested. So T5 2 wounds. They're basically just havocs. So the 6-inch move, T5 2 wounds, 3 up armor. Just havocs. Literally says on the advertising for Games Workshop, these are just the havoc equivalent of Emperor's Children. Now this is where the fun begins. I'll get the shit stuff out of the way. Their rule is absolutely garbage. So in your shooting phase, after the unit is shot, select an enemy unit hit by one or more of these attacks. Until the next start of your next shooting phase, each time a battle shock or a leadership test is taken for the unit, subtract 1 from the test. Wow. That there ends the bad shit. So the rest of the good shit. They're pretty reasonably priced. So 6 models, because 6 is the sacred number of Slenesh, for 135 points. Pretty good. I'd say that's pretty fair. Havocs are cheaper still, if I'm not mistaken. I think Havocs are 125. But yeah, with that said, though, they have access to 2 Blast Masters in the squad now, not just the one. And they can all bring Sonic Blasters. One of them can bring a Power Sword, the Disharmonist can, with a Screamer Pistol and a Power Sword. You probably want to bring, like, I don't know, you could bring him however you want, really. You're going to get close to something anyway and shoot it. But yeah, the Sonic Blasters are 18-inch range, ignores cover, 3 attacks on 3s, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. Really, really solid. You will chew through quite a lot of stuff with that. The ignores cover is really good because everything's got cover in this edition, so you got the reliable damage coming through. The Blastmaster, though. So the weaker profile, the varied one, which is good into killing guardsmen. So you can get them in a Rhino. You get 6 shots each, so that's 12. Hit on 3s, strength 6, -2, 1 damage. You're wounding guardsmen, and they're similar chaff on 2s. Rerolling 1s, because obviously at that point you've probably already got the 3 kills. Rerolling 1s to hit. You're probably going to drive by a guardsman squad quite reliably. A 10-man unit is just going to get deleted by these things, unless they spite the saves, because ignores cover means that they're now on a 5. Sorry, they don't have a save if I'm not mistaken, because it's a 5 up for a guardsman. But yeah, with that said, though, the best part is the heavy frequency or the singled one. 6 shots, obviously, because there's 2, 3, 3. Hitting on 3s, strength 10, -2, flat 3 damage. Ignores cover. This thing shreds elite infantry like no man's business. It's insanely good. You're bringing them with a Lord Coffinist. The combo I've started using is these guys with a Lord Coffinist with the enhancement that allows you to switch to a 6 if you miss. So you're basically guaranteed to get a shitload of shots through. Noise Marines in this detachment thrive because of the rerolls at range and in melee. However, I would recommend that you bring at least 2 squads of Noise Marines in every list. Like, my list consists of at least 1 Rhino. So when I'm thinking of a list, if I'm thinking of drafting something, I'm bringing at least 1 Rhino. I'm bringing at least 2 squads of Infractors or Tormentors, depending on what I'm feeling like. I'm bringing Lucius, and I'm bringing at least 2 squads of Noise Marines. I think that a lot of people, and quite rightly so in my opinion, go, oh, they fill a role that the army doesn't have, so they're automatically going to look better by comparison because nothing else does what they can do. I agree. However, Noise Marines are fucking awesome. And yes, I am incredibly biased, but for the sake of brevity, do I think they're a competitive staple that'll win every single game? Probably not. But I do really, really, really like them. They're really fun, and they are competitive. Like, they are an incredibly useful unit, but they're incredibly matchup dependent. So in certain circumstances, these guys are just going to overkill stuff, or they're going to underkill quite a lot. But again, these dudes are scary. They're incredibly cool models, though. I am going to put them the top of A tier. I think they just edge out that they're very, very top. I think I'd say the Lord Coffinist and Noise Marines are equal, in my opinion, because they're a unit that is really well designed because they both benefit each other really well. And the Lord Coffinist can be run as a solo piece if you want an utility, but a squad of Noise Marines is just, if you've got it and you shoot, like, they're going to take a dint out of pretty much anything they shoot at. Like, they're going to take a chunk out of it. But yeah, I think that's the tier list done. So I'm just going to briefly recap it. So we'll go from the worst to the best because we want to end on a high note here. No pun intended. Worst, in my opinion, is the Helldrake, the Sorcerer, and the Terminators. I think they are incredibly bad. E tier, which is Fulgrim. I think Fulgrim just needs another complete look at or a massive points cut to be even remotely considered viable. He's still very killy, but I don't think he's useful in any competitive staple. D tier, I've put Flawless Blades and a Land Raider. So Flawless Blades are more applicable than the Land Raider, but I think the Land Raider allows them to transport a lot easier, which can be nice. But again, these guys have access to advance and charge, so it's not really that important. And the Land Raider gives long range shooting, which we don't have, otherwise I don't have access to. But yeah, I do think the Land Raider is incredibly overcosted, and the Flawless Blades are an incredibly flawed unit. That, ironically enough, that need a bit of a tweak to be very good. But they're a very difficult unit to balance, like I mentioned, because of the rule. No units in C tier. I don't think there's any unit that's middle of the road. B tier, these are good units. So you've got Demon Prince on foot, which again is just the only reason why he's in B tier. Should be an A in my opinion. But the only reason why he's in B tier is why would I bring him when I can bring a Winged Demon Prince for cheaper? Mauler Fiends are in B because decent distraction can't affect your opponent has to deal with, and they're fairly cheap. And Chaos Spawn in B tier as well because of the utility. They're pretty durable, not entirely durable, but again, nice to have on an objective. Fun reactive move shenanigans. Bring a unit or two in every list, and you'll probably get some points from them. They'll definitely make the points back. A tier, which are great units. So you've got the Lord Coffinist and Noise Marines. I think they're perfectly equal. I think they're both at the top of A tier. These guys are just under S, in my opinion. You could make an argument for S, and I would completely agree with you. But from an objective standpoint, these guys are really, really good. Great units. Coffinist for obvious reasons, and Noise Marines for reasons I've mentioned literally 2 minutes ago. Topper S tier, which in my opinion are competitive staples. Lucius is at the bottom of S tier. You could switch him up to A tier. I don't think you have to take him in every competitive list, but you wouldn't be like doing yourself any disfavor if you doing yourself dirty if you weren't bringing this guy. You've then got Infractors and Tormentors, which is great. Both of our battle line units are S tier. They're incredible. Some would say they're some of the best battle line units in the game, and I would be hard pressed to disagree. I think they're incredible. Infractors and Tormentors are just really, really useful. I personally think Infractors are better than Tormentors. A lot of people would put Tormentors in A tier, and granted, when I had a game with the Tormentors, I had 3 units of 5, and they were very swingy, like they'd miss most of the shots, despite hitting on 3s, but that's probably because I got really, really bad dice rolls. But yeah, get that command point regeneration going on if you can pick off a character. You can throw a unit of 5 at an enemy unit, pick off that character, and you'll probably be trading up a majority of the time because your average character is like, 80 plus points, between 60 to 100 points. And if these guys, a 5-man unit can take out a character, you've already got your points back, and you might get a command point. The top 3, without question, are Rhinos, Lord Exultants, and Demon Prince with Wings. As I've already mentioned, these are easily the top 3 for a reason. Rhino for utility, transport, fire in deck 2, advance and charge, advance and disembark for a unit which can then shoot. So Noise Marines love Rhinos. Not being able to charge after it is fairly balanced in my opinion because this thing is incredibly good. And if you could charge after you've disembarked an advanced Rhino, that would be way too strong in my opinion. The Land Raider would just be completely obsolete, which it already is. Lord Exultant, really, really good commander for like getting in a squad, good leader, very, very solid melee profile. Lethal hits is fantastic if you're punching up. Lance on the spear, he's got drip. The man definitely knows how to crack an omelette. How to make an omelette from scratch. Like this guy knows what he's doing. He's incredibly competent. Like he does his taxes on his own. This guy doesn't have sex. He fucks. Like he's incredibly good. Finally, we're speaking of fucks, Jesus Christ, Demon Prince with Wings. absurdly strong at the minute. This unit is going to get nerfed 100%. Games Workshop need to be very careful with it for obvious reasons because we don't have that many units in the roster. As you can see, there's a very fine line between what's good and what's not, or what's usable and what's not, rather. But yeah, the Demon Prince, big mortal wound damage, fairly cheap at cost, -1 damage. Yeah, just overall probably the strongest unit we've got access to, but in honesty, that's good because Demon Princes have been so mid or bad for so long. I remember 8th edition where Demon Princes used to be scary, and now they still are, which is great. But yeah, with that said, thank you for watching. For those who have stuck to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been always a pleasure interacting with you guys in the comments. If you like it, please like. If you want to subscribe and you feel I'm worthy of your subscription, then thank you. I appreciate that. My upload schedule's all over the place, so when I do upload, I do apologise, and I do ramble a lot, for a lot of people seem to like it. But if that's not your thing, that's fine. Either way, I hope wherever you are, whatever time you're in, whatever state you're in, always remember, praise the dark gods. Cheers, guys.